As we continue our look at joy, one of the interesting opponents of joy, and something that we might not often think about in terms of joy, is the importance of giving forgiveness to other people. I'd like to look at it both from the point of view of the Buddhist tradition through the eyes of Dalai Lama, and also the Christian tradition through the teachings and thoughts of Bishop Desmond Tutu. The Dalai Lama mentions that if you're going to be a joyful person, one of the things that's very important is that you cannot hate people who do harmful things. The compassionate thing, obviously, is to do what you can to stop them. We're not saying that you have to accept evil things and people who do evil things. But at the same time, you can't hate them. So you have to try to find a way to resist and stop the evil that they're doing in a way that is compassionate and kind. And the Dalai Lama speaks from the Buddhist perspective on this because he says, when you look at those types of people and those types of situations, what is actually happening is that they are doing things that actually harm themselves. So they're harming themselves. Obviously, they're harming others by what they're doing, but they also are doing harm to themselves. So when you're a compassionate person, you see that. You see that maybe they're being selfish, maybe unkind remarks, maybe bullying other people, maybe being abusive. But in doing that, they actually are harming themselves. So what we have to do is take a look at that and say, well, what is a compassionate response? How can I stop them, intervene in terms of what they're doing, stop the abuse, stop the bullying? Certainly we have to do that. But over and above that, we have to look into their heart, try to get them to move on a new path and not to do those harmful things. And a lot of times we become very fixated uh, on achieving our goal. There are certain goals that we want to achieve. And we think, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, and we want to achieve a goal. And it's a great thing. We want to achieve the goal of stopping the evil and all of that, and that's, of course, extremely important. But oftentimes, what we're doing might lead to a better, though unexpected, goal. So our initial goal is to stop this evil action. But if we take a certain action, all of a sudden, not only are we stopping the evil, we're actually generating some movement towards the good, and it becomes totally unexpected. And the Dalai Lama and Bishop Tutu are going to offer some examples of that type of thing. Desmond Tutu, Bishop Tutu, speaks about a woman whose sons were murdered, and she wanted to offer them forgiveness. She knew what they had done obviously was wrong and evil and terrible. But she also knew that perpetuating hatred towards them was not going to achieve anything. So she said, I must offer them forgiveness. She was determined to offer them forgiveness. And she said, really, how is it going to help us in the community if they go to prison? Is that going to really make our community better? Is there another thing that we can do to help them to overcome this path of evil and to make things better? So she was determined to offer forgiveness and to eliminate the idea of them going to prison through her intervention. She said, if they go to prison, it's not going to bring back my two sons. My two sons are dead. Uh, this person in prison is not going to bring them back. It's not going to achieve any grand result in my life if they go to prison. So she embraced the man who killed her sons. She went up to him and literally embraced him. And she called him my child. You know, a lot of times we look at that and say, well, what is she doing? Why is she embracing someone who did such an evil? Where is she getting the courage and the strength to do that? It seems so out of the ordinary, so unusual for a woman to do that. So she embraced him, she called him my child, um, and that began a healing in that man. That led to something extraordinary, a goal that she didn't imagine, a change in that man. Another example that Bishop Tutu offers is an example of Beth. Beth was wounded by shrapnel from a bomb, and she has to be helped to eat and to bathe because of the bomb and the result of the bomb in her life and how it affected her and her limbs. And she said about the person who planted the bomb, I forgive him, and I hope he forgives me. So again, the offering of forgiveness, the importance of being a forgiving person. Bishop Tutu offers the story also of Amy Beale. Amy went to South Africa from California to try to help the situation in South Africa and to bring peace and more integration and more acceptance of others in the community to South Africa. She felt called by God to do this. And she was brutally murdered. Here she was trying to offer peace, reconciliation, hope, and Amy was brutally murdered. And her parents flew all the way from California down to South Africa, and they asked for amnesty for those who had murdered her. And they wound up setting a foundation in place to help the local people. And they said, this is what Amy would want. Amy would want something that would help these people, help them live better lives. And this foundation that the parents set up employed the people who murdered her daughter. I mean, how remarkable is that? Not only did they set up the foundation for other people, but even for those who had murdered her daughter, because they wanted to achieve what their daughter wanted to achieve, which was peace and reconciliation. And when people harm other people, the Buddhist insight is that, well, they really are harming themselves, and they need healing for that harm that they're doing to themselves. Yes, they're harming others, and we have to stop that. We're not accepting evil. No way. But we have to look beyond that to a different goal, to an unexpected goal, to a goal that's actually life transforming and life changing. And it's remarkable how much the role of forgiveness can play in transforming people's lives. And the joy that it gave to Amy's parents, the joy that it gave to Beth, who had been wounded by the shrapnel, the joy it gave to the woman who was able to forgive those who had murdered her sons. It is true joy because it comes from a genuine sense of forgiveness and a genuine sense of wanting the good of that other person. Not looking down on them, but truly wanting the good for them. And that leads to true joy.